Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to Losses Above Replacement, the greatest baseball podcast to grace your ears. I'm today's host, Mathias Altman-Kurosaki, and with me, as always, we have my amazing co-hosts, Alex Clark and Ryan Splashpots. And yes, I am back after a bit of a hiatus. I was in Japan for a couple of weeks, and you guys were left with these two amazing gentlemen in my place. So, first things first, guys, how are we doing on this fine Monday afternoon?
We're doing good over here. It's been a time. Welcome back, Mac, as well. Although I will
Thank you.
say this is the fourth take of this right now because Mac can't stop laughing. But that's okay. No, love you, buddy. But no, we're doing okay over here. I'll say I injured my hip a little bit ago in a golf tournament, and it has not been great since. So, considering the fact I also still played through the rest of the tournament with an injured hip, was definitely a good choice on my part. But yeah, no, we're doing all right over here. Just kind of taking it easy, maxing, relaxing, all cool, but not shooting any b-ball outside of the school because that would hurt my hip more.
I am no longer a baseball fan. This sport has cost me a significant amount of mental capacity this year and patience and all of the other words that probably end with an E. It's very sad to be a Braves fan right now, even though they are still in a playoff spot, which is nice. But it's just setting in that the starting lineup from opening day played a whopping 6 innings together. Or honestly, 5 innings because Strider got pulled after 5. But in theory, the opening lineup, 1 through 9, played 6 innings together. So, depression.
I thought it was funny that you said immediately, like, all these other words that end with E, and I'm like, depression doesn't end with an E.
I
Some
guess
other
not.
words do end with E.
This is true.
Yeah. So on my front, first of all, Japan was awesome. It was my first time back in 5 years. I forgot how much I love that country. It's super cool. If you guys ever get to go, I highly recommend it. Plus, it's not that expensive there. So yeah. Also over the weekend, as I'm sure you guys saw, I went to the Mets game on Saturday, and after the game, my friends and I hung around the players' lot, and I got to meet Brandon Nimmo. That was pretty
You
cool.
found Nimmo.
By the way, yeah, and it somehow went viral enough that my tweet was discussed on the Mets radio broadcast yesterday. Shout out Howie Rose for somehow discovering my tweet.
Although I will say, they did you
yeah.
so dirty, my man.
Yeah,
Like,
honestly, it could have been worse. I was honestly just honored that Howie noticed who I was. Other than that, I am home alone because my parents are still in Japan. Actually, I'm not entirely home alone. I have these creatures roaming my apartment right now, and I definitely didn't hear one of them just attack the other. Yeah, the cats be going crazy while my parents are away. So
I mean, they just missed you. Now they're like saying, "Don't never leave again. We're going to keep attacking until you promise you'll never leave again."
yeah, tough. No, they're great. They're just they're very vocal about when they want to be fed, and other things. So
That's
yeah,
cats. That's cats, dude.
so yeah, that's how things are going in my world. I am back in New York for the foreseeable future, and yeah, I hope the Mets turn their season around. That was it's been an interesting stretch to say the least. But anyways, some other interesting things are being talked about in the MLB commissioner's office, which is this potential 6 innings pitched rule. Supposedly, it's being discussed that starting pitchers will be required to throw at least 6 innings in each of their starts, or they can be pulled if they throw 100 pitches, or if they get injured, or if they allow at least 4 earned runs. To me, this is kind of wild. I understand that there is a movement of people who really want to be old school. They want it to be like when Greg Maddux could throw a complete game in 78 pitches, which is now known as 4 innings to most starting pitchers. Shout out to Super 70 Sports for tweeting that how many times each year? But anyways, guys, what are your thoughts on this? Because personally, I think this is kind of ridiculous. I understand. I did watch a guy throw a complete game over the weekend, but what are your thoughts on this potential innings requirement?
I really hope this is a joke. Like, honest to God, I really hope this was just like a flash in the pan, like, oh, someone did it and somehow went viral. Because it makes no sense. Legitimately, it makes very little sense. I understand the idea. Excuse me, but this very much feels like a missing the forest, looking for the trees type idea. Where, like, you have an idea, oh yeah, we want our starting pitchers to go deeper into games. Well, let's force them to go deeper into games. The problem is, you've already had an uptick in injuries through a number of different reasons over the last couple of years. And now, legitimately, by forcing pitchers to go longer than what they normally can do sometimes, you're just going to really increase the injuries that you're going to see from these guys here. I will say it is definitely going to make a bigger premium on starting pitching workhorses. Like teams like Seattle are going to be probably okay because most of their guys go 6 innings to start anyway. But this is one where I think it is a step backwards and not much of an actual step forward. You're really risking the health of your players, which is something that you've been trying to work on a little bit more over the last few years. Like, this move does not seem like it's a positive in any real sense. Like, just like the idea of it, yeah, it makes sense if you think about it for only about 2 minutes. The longer you think about it, the worse of an idea it becomes.
So I understand what Major League Baseball wants to do here. What they want to accomplish is to reinstate sort of the marquee role that is the starting pitcher and have that be the sort of baseball equivalent to a quarterback or, a center, point guard, have that be the pizzazz position as opposed to just another guy. The problem ends up being that Major League Baseball teams do not play baseball to be fun. They play baseball to win games. So when you're in the 6th inning, say there's one out in the inning, you have a righty on the mound. He's about to face Bryce Harper. Every manager with half of a brain will put in a lefty to face Bryce Harper or equivalent lefty. Insert your favorite lefty. Unless you have your ace on the mound. So there's maybe 5 guys that, yeah, I'll let him face Harper a 3rd time, or I'll let him face Judge a 3rd time, or pick your favorite hitter. I understand you want to have starters go 6 innings, 7 innings, but teams don't play like that. Teams want to win games. Teams will say, we would rather have our bullpen guy who throws 100 give me 10 pitches than have my starter who's thrown 100 pitches already or 90 pitches already and tried to face this dude twice already and allowed a hit earlier. You're going to take the reliever 9 times out of 10. If it's like Skubal or Chris Sale this year or Wheeler or one of the Mariners guys, okay, yeah, let him go face Judge, Soto, Ohtani, whomever. Sure. But teams now look at that as that individual plate appearance, that individual at bat, and say, we are going to use our brain power here. And we're going to try to get the best matchup. We're going to bring in the lefty. We're going to bring in the platoon advantage. We're going to bring in the guy that has the weird arm slot or is the best matchup to get this guy out and help to win the game. This is why you bring in your fireman reliever. This is why saves, for example, not necessarily the best stat because sometimes you Andrew Miller your relievers and have them pitch in higher leverage situations. So Major League Baseball, Jesse Rogers, by the way, of ESPN, reported this. I agree with what you're trying to do, but I think this is a fundamentally flawed way of approaching it.
I have a question for you before we get too much farther, Splash.
Sure.
Here, so it's about talking about a previous big rule that was implemented in pitching in the last several years, and that is the 3-batter minimum. Mm-hmm. Here, to that, do you think that these two work better together? Because in this exact way, how you were talking about it, right? It's you're not baseball teams already can't do that platoon thing anymore as well as they used to, because like it used to be you had like guys in your bullpen that were just the situational lefty to come in face the Harper or something like that, and now they can't do that as well anymore because now it's 3 batters minimum, and most of the time then you're going to swap in another lefty if you have later on that they're supposed to be facing for a righty, and so it kind of got rid of the situational lefty position altogether. To a degree. Do you think that these two rules almost benefit each other in that way?
I don't think there's much of a correlation, I'd say. I think both of them are trying to reduce the number of pitchers you see and reduce the number of relievers, because we're baseball fans.
Yeah.
We follow our favorite teams. We follow a lot of other teams. Do you know the 6th reliever in your bullpen just off the top of your head? Maybe you do. Maybe you do for your favorite team. Like I know the Braves relievers, but do you know the Marlins' 4th reliever? No.
It used to be JT Chargois until he came to the Mariners.
Good point. But the casual fan knows like 5 relievers. They know Clay Holmes because he blows games every week, and he's really good, but he also I don't know. They know Clase, they know Mason Miller, and they know Aroldis Chapman. And like outside of that, hit or miss, right? The Bednars of the world and the Estradas and the Hater, they know Hater.
Diaz.
It's like it's hit or miss, right? But you know more starters, you know more hitters. But a random bullpen guy who might throw 100 with the most ridiculous slider you've ever seen. But it's just a weird dynamic. I don't think they're two opposite sides of the same coin, I would say. If anything, the better rule might be to just limit the number of active pitchers you can have like a NFL style rule or an NBA style rule, and have active and inactive. So say, I'll use an example from the Giants Braves series. Raisel Iglesias pitched back-to-back games. He was not available for the 3rd game. Well, the Braves could say before the game, Raisel Iglesias is not one of our 5 active relievers or 4 active relievers. Or
that would be interesting. Yeah.
And I think that's
not a bad idea.
Still manage the game, right? You can still have, if your guy doesn't have it, but the other team is the Marlins and they're just swinging at everything, and you have 90 pitches through 5 innings, but those are hard 90 pitches. There's guys on base all game. I'll circle back to this point, but I think pitch count itself is a pretty dumb concept sometimes. But anyways, if you have a limit on the number of pitchers, you can have more strategy, and you get guys throwing more innings generally, or a smaller section of guys throwing more innings. So instead of seeing a parade of relievers or having bullpen games, you have 5 pitchers or 4 pitchers that go, and then a 5th one gets unlocked in extra innings, for example.
So there's one thing I want to say really quick on this, and I apologize, Mac. I wanted you to be able to say. But there's one thing I do want to bring up on that. The idea, just like, this is a theoretical thing. A lot of times when you have a guy coming in relief, you're expecting them to go about 1 inning on average. That sounds about right. That means that if your starting pitcher is going 6 innings at the minimum, that means that at the maximum, usually, like, again, this is just on average, you're probably going to have about 3 relievers in the game, which means that if they go every other day, then you're going to be only needing 6 total relievers at that point. And a lot of times you're also going to have guys that will pitch back to back. So I really like your idea, Splash, on this about doing it more like the NFL style, where it's like you could have guys that are active or not active for this time. I feel like it doesn't work as well with a 26-man roster. Maybe need to up that up a little bit again. But I feel like it could very well work. Still think that the 6 inning minimum is still not a good idea. I see, like you're saying, I see the logic, but I feel like there needs to be more things in place to make it good. And if that's the case, it doesn't make it a good rule to begin with.
Right. With all the 4 earned runs and the 100 pitches or leaving with injury, those are necessary to have the rule, because you don't want a guy allowing like 18 runs or getting hurt and throwing 200 pitches, whatever.
Yeah, that'd be bad.
Javier Assad style. But it's just a tough thing, because what the game wants and what the teams want are different. And this isn't this is like regular season NBA. You're not going to have LeBron playing 40 minutes a game every night of the regular season. You're not going to have Steph Curry or Kevin Durant or Nikola Jokic. They're not going to play 40 minutes a game. Would the NBA prefer if they did? Yeah. Would the NBA love if you went back to like the 90s or the 80s and had your stars playing 42 minutes a night? Yeah, they'd love that. That'd be great for everyone involved, except the players themselves.
Yeah,
but
yeah,
it's just not
the
practical.
issue, though. Yeah, I mean, this thing is like I was saying earlier, like, I'm a big fan of complete games. I really like having workhorses on my pitching staff, but sometimes, injuries happen inevitably. I mean, look at the Marlins this year, look at the Dodgers this year with their pitching rotations. Like, it feels like their entire pitching staffs got hurt. And then you have, the Rays revolutionized the whole opener concept in 2018. And it's actually kind of effective. As much as I was against it at first because I thought it made zero sense, there's a method to the madness. And now if we have the 6 innings pitch rule, then that concept basically goes away. My one question I was going to ask Splash was about the extra innings, but I think you kind of answered it. That's the other thing, though, is that sometimes, games go on so long, and I guess this isn't as common anymore, but you have to bring in one of your starters to pitch out of the bullpen. I remember back in 2010, the Mets played a 20-inning game against the Cardinals, and I think Mike Pelfrey had to pitch the 20th inning, and I believe he was supposed to start like a day later or something. Or I know there was it. Oh, the 2018 World Series when Nathan Eovaldi pitched 6 innings out of the pen. I'm pretty sure he was supposed to start Game 4.
Yeah. Mark Burley in 2005.
Yeah, Mark Burley, Randy Johnson in 2001.
Drunk, right?
He'd already started drinking, thinking he wasn't going to. Yeah, and so
the guy's just being man and put in Jamie Burke to pitch anyway, like a real baseball team.
And then
a real baseball team swaps the pitcher and the left fielder, so you have Vince Velasquez throwing guys out of the posing guys out of the plate.
No, real team gets Brett Phillips to throw 98 off the mound or throw 46. There's no in between.
Yeah. Brett Phillips has a hose, man.
So he does, 100%. And it's about whether or not that hose is on low power or high power. There's no difference.
I do have a question for you guys. With the pitch count idea, 100 pitches, would you like it if it was more flexible and it was more like based on, because not all pitches are created equal. Like you can have really stressful pitches. You can have really unstressful pitches, right? You can have the bases are loaded and you get out of it fast, but those are really stressful pitches. Like again, Luis Severino had a 3-pitch inning. He allowed a base runner in the inning. That was in theory a stressful pitch to throw with a guy on second, runner in scoring position,
and one out.
Like that in theory is a stressful pitch to throw. It happens to be a double play, but that's different from, say, you get a foul ball off and you have a 10, 12, 14 pitch at bat, and all of a sudden you're starting from behind, but like it's no one's on, there might be 2 outs in the inning. Like those aren't as stressful pitches. So how do you guys feel about like 100 as like the magic number? Do you think it should be higher, lower? Do you think it should be more based on like a team specific formula of how stressful the pitches are?
I think that honestly, like it needs to be uniform for each team because otherwise coaches and managers will just groan about it constantly. So to be fair, like I'm not saying this would make the rule fine for me. The number that I like a little bit more is like 75. 75, I think, is a decent number that a lot of starting pitchers get to. A lot of times, it's a lot easier to get to 75. Like, my usual model when I like to look at pitchers going fairly deep into games is 15 pitches per inning, right? 15 pitches per inning at 75 pitches means that you're going 5 innings. Like, that's not too far off from where it's already at this point here. And 15 pitches an inning means that by 90 pitches, you've gone through those 6 innings, which at that point, then you can go into your bullpen and go from there. So I think 75 is maybe a better mark to go from. Plus, usually around the 75th pitch is around when a lot of pitchers start to kind of lose a little bit of that velocity, just a little bit. There's a little bit of that spin on the breaking ball. Yeah. I think it's just a lot better of a number.
Would you guys support?
I was thinking between 75 and 90.
Okay. If it was proposed at 5 innings or 75 pitches, would you be more inclined than 6 and 100?
I still just don't like the restriction in general. I think I would like it more, but that does not mean I would still say yes, though.
Okay.
I just don't want to limit the way, teams manage their pitchers. Pitchers, I feel like more than any other position group get injured. It's just, the arm is very delicate. And like we've seen this year, it feels like we've seen so many frontline starters go down, especially with, Tommy John surgery. It feels like there's been a whole surge in the whole epidemic. So I really don't want to place restrictions on, how teams manage their pitchers, but I guess 75-5 would be better than 6 and 100 because that sounds like you're asking for injuries. Because 100 pitches, I mean, that's not what the human body is really built to do.
Well, to be fair, the human body is able to throw a baseball to begin with. Have you seen the slow motion of like these guys throwing it? It looks like their entire arm dislocates and relocates at once.
Yeah, it's painful. There's a reason why you need like 4 or 5, sometimes even more days between starts. I mean, you can't just throw 100 pitches and then get up the next day and feel fine. Chances are you need a day to rest. Then you need to throw your side session. Then you have to do all this stuff to prepare for your next start for a reason.
It almost feels like every start is like an injury itself, and you have to rehab that injury before you can be up and ready to go again.
So I do want to bring up that if they were to impose these restrictions, first of all, this wouldn't be like imminent. This isn't a 2025 thing. This might be a 2030 thing, right? So there'd be hundreds of pitchers that this has no, like, it doesn't matter at all, right?
Yeah.
So like Charlie Morton, he's 40, Jesse Chavez. Rich Hill is back, by the way. He's on the Red Sox.
Is.
He's in Worcester
Red Sox.
Again.
That's awesome.
Anyways, it does not matter for Rich. It might matter for Rich Hill, but it's not going to matter for like Justin Verlander or Max Scherzer, Clayton Kershaw. They're not going to be pitching in 6 years. So that it's a way a ways. And second, if you were to introduce like a potential restriction like that, it would sort of shift the dynamic of how pitchers approach a lineup, because you'd have to pace yourself, right? You'd have to like run if you think of it like a race, you have to run it more like a 1500 meter as opposed to a 100 meter. And you see guys emptying the tank in the 4th, 5th inning. Carlos Rodon's trying to pump 102 in the 5th inning to get out of the 5th inning. When if you have a rule like this, you might be at 97 into the 5th, into the 6th. Then you have the classic Justin Verlander. It's in the 8th inning. Now you're emptying the tank. So I think there'd be a little bit more, I don't want to say backwards pitching, but I think guys would like ramp up throughout the game. Ronaldo Lopez has done a great job of this throughout the season. This year, former reliever. So
I also think that there's a very realistic chance that if this does come into effect as it is right now, we may see the return of the knuckleballer more, because the knuckleball is one of those ones that it does not take as much tax on the arm. And again, we're seeing right now David Fletcher's doing it well over in the minor leagues.
Mississippi.
Over in Mississippi, exactly. So I don't know, honestly, that could also be a slippery slope that leads to more knuckleballers, which I would be very much more okay with. Well, to be fair, like honestly, the thought just came to me after thinking about Tim Wakefield trying to pitch in relief, and it just made me giggle. But I love Tim Wakefield.
Sox tried it with Stephen Wright too.
They did try it with Stephen Wright. That was also a horror for MLB The Show players. But
and Ryan, if you remember that.
Okay, so Mac, I had a quick question for you as well, and it's similar to the question I asked for Splash here. I'm going to bring back up the 3-batter minimum here. Are you a fan of the 3-batter minimum here? Because again, it does restrict what managers can and cannot do, and it makes them strategize probably more while getting rid of a specialized position.
All right, so I'm going to give you 2 answers here. From a pace of play perspective, absolutely, 100%. Because you get guys coming in, pitch to one batter, take them out, bring another guy, they pitch to one batter. Then you do this whole
Oh yeah,
wash,
pace play is
repeat.
fantastic.
So many pitching changes and mound visits, and you're basically there all day. As a purist, I don't really like it. I was a big fan of having those lefty specialists. I mean, Pedro Feliciano was one of my favorite pitchers when I was younger because he would come in, he would pitch in 95 games, or no, he topped out at 92 for the Mets, franchise record. He would come in, get his lefties out, come out of the game, come in the next day, do the same thing. I miss having guys like that. And
Yeah.
you know, Jerry Blevins is one of the Mets post-game show guys. Jerry Blevins was a guy like that.
Yeah.
You had so many guys who would come in, get their one guy, they would do it really well, and then be done. But nowadays, because of the 3-batter minimum, I mean, you see a lot of bullpens where they only have one left-handed reliever, and it's tough to navigate that. It's when do you burn your lefty, and you know, God forbid they don't get their guy out, then they're stuck in to face Aaron Judge, left on right, or you're a righty who's a low arm angle guy, so you come in to get the righty out. Oh, you don't get Betts out? Well, now you have to face Ohtani or you have to face Freeman. So yeah, I'm not entirely a huge fan of the 3-batter minimum rule. I don't hate it as much as I used to, but I do kind of miss the old days of having a lefty specialist on your team.
Same question. Yeah. Same question to you. Do you like the 3-batter minimum?
I will say one of my favorite parts of watching baseball games is when the manager brings in a lefty to face the lefty and he allows a hit, and then the lefty just starts mowing down righties. So Dylan Lee yesterday comes in to get Shanuel out, and Shanuel gets a hit because he's Nolan Shanuel, and then the next 5 batters are righties, and it's out, strikeout, strikeout. It's like,
Baseball's
okay, this is amazing. I love you, Dylan Lee.
There was one, because that was one I was honestly thinking of when you're talking about bringing the lefty to face the lefty. Didn't work so well for Tyler Saucedo. I love you, Saucy, going against Bryce Harper. They brought him in to face Bryce Harper the first time. He got the out perfectly fine. Next time, I'm at the game. They bring him in to face Bryce Harper. Hits a moonshot to right.
And obligatory Robbie Ray mention. Also, Robbie Ray got annihilated his last start. Just don't look at that if you play fantasy baseball. Hit two batters, walk 2 batters, allowed a grand slam. Not ideal.
Here's the thing. Yes, I know Mitch Haniger isn't doing great with Seattle, but we did not need Robbie Ray.
He had been cooking.
Yeah, but we now have 5 starters that all cook.
That's a good point, but only in Seattle.
True. It's a thing.
I mean, we still cook at other places too. Still one of the best. But anyway, yeah. Anyway, back onto it then.
It's definitely, those are both rules where I'm from a purist perspective, I don't really like either of them. It's really the whole innings requirement. I just don't think is a good idea for the game. We have enough people wondering why are pitchers getting injured every year? And it's well, this is another. For some reason, the people who are wondering that are the ones that are pushing this agenda. That we need to up the. It's no, that's just gonna get guys more injured. It's not gonna deter people from learning how to throw hard. Okay, that's
We just want to get back to the days of a fastball being 9-2, and I threw a mean curve.
Yeah, all right. I mean, it's
cool. You're gonna get absolutely smacked out there,
if that's the game you guys want, be my guest. I don't know if that's the game.
If you want to play that game, go play All-Star Baseball 2000 for the N64.
Exactly. But anyways, let's move on because we're getting towards the end of the season. We have about 6 weeks or so left, and in each league we have a couple of triple crown contenders. Starting on the pitching side, Tarek Skubal and Chris Sale both lead their respective leagues in all 3 Triple Crown categories, wins, ERA, and strikeouts. And then on the offensive side, Aaron Judge leads the AL in home runs, actually leads the majors in home runs and RBIs, trails Bobby Witt Jr. in batting average. And on the National League side, Marcell Ozuna leads in batting average and RBIs, while Shohei Ohtani leads in home runs. Guys, we haven't seen a Triple Crown winner on the offensive side since Miguel Cabrera in 2012. It's not a very common feat. On the pitching side, it's happened a couple times, most recently in the pandemic-shortened season, Shane Bieber. Guys, what do you think happens here? Do we have Triple Crown winners? Any of them or none of them? Or somewhere in between?
I think the closest that we have here is maybe Chris Sale with the Braves. Schoolboy, there's a lot of talk that he's going to get shut down later on in this, a little bit later on. So that's going to hurt his qualified numbers for that. On the hitting side, no chance. Like, I mean, no disrespect to the guys that are hitting the way that they are, but batting average, like especially on the American League side, batting average is one of the harder ones, in my opinion, to keep maintained. And I'm not saying that Judge can't do it. Judge is arguably the best hitter on the planet. But I don't think offensively it is so much harder to get a Triple Crown than pitching wise. I think pitching wise it can make a little more sense because each one really correlates to another. Wins, strikeouts, and ERA. Well, if you don't strike out a lot of people and you don't give up many runs, you're probably going to get more wins. Whereas in baseball, in offense for baseball, more home runs does translate to more RBIs, but does not translate to batting average as much. If you really have a really high batting average, may or may not have the most RBIs or home runs. So it's harder just as a concept in general to do it offensively, which is what made Miguel Cabrera so special at the time. Pitching wise, it makes a little more sense. And I'm not gonna say it's easier because it's still definitely a hard task. I still think that of everyone that you have mentioned at this point, the person that has the best chance for any of it though is Chris Sale with the Braves.
If I'm ranking these, and if you gave me the over/under at 1.5, I think I would take the under. I would rank Sale 1, Judge 2, Skubal 3, Ozuna 4.
Yeah.
Sale has been awesome. The Braves need him to pitch down the stretch. He's going to, in all likelihood, pitch more often. Skubal on the Tigers is not going to pitch as often if AJ Hinch is to be believed. I will say Dylan Cease has a realistic shot of leading the league in strikeouts, and Zach Wheeler is pretty close in ERA. So you could have some minor fluctuations here and there. Then Judge has a big home run lead, has a big RBI lead. I don't think either of those get overtaken. While in the National League, you look at Marcell Ozuna, and it's the RBI lead, but it's pretty close. And the batting average lead, he took over it yesterday. So I think that is very much in the realm of he could finish 10th in batting average, or he could finish first, but he could finish 10th. You also have to factor in Luis Arias exists, and Luis Arias could go 14 for 20 at any point and just have his batting average up over 320. So Skubal, I have my concerns with how many innings he's going to throw the rest of the season. And the same thing with Garrett Crochet, who is second in strikeouts at the moment. But I think he's going to start trending down as more and more of his outings don't go deep into the game. I also don't necessarily trust the Tigers to win Skubal starts. He started yesterday against the Yankees, did not get the win. Although the Tigers did win, he did not personally get the win.
Yeah.
The ERA, I think he can win the ERA title. I think Sale can win the ERA title. I think those are totally fair. I do want to throw it out there. The last National League hitter to win the Triple Crown was Joe Medwick in 1937.
Long time ago, yeah.
Not Hank Aaron, not Willie Mays, not Mike Schmidt, not Frank Robinson. He won it in the AL. Not Robin Yount was in the American League. My bad. Not Jeff Bagwell. Not no one. Joe Medwick in 1937.
That's honestly insane to think about though, because all the great National League hitters, somehow none of them won Triple Crowns since Joe Medwick.
Six have won in the American League. Ted Williams twice, Frank Robinson, Carl Yastrzemski, Mickey Mantle, and Miguel Cabrera.
Exactly. So I'm looking at the leaders. I think Skubal can definitely win the ERA title comfortably. He has a 0.4 lead on Ronel Blanco, who's in second at the 2.89. Skubal at a 2.49. I think he can lead in strikeouts for sure. The wins, to your point, Splash, are my concern. Again, I'm not a huge fan of the win statistic, but I don't necessarily see him holding on with how weak the Tigers' offense is, and with soon to be his innings limit. He's going to qualify for the ERA title. He only needs 7 more innings for that. So That's not my concern at all. Strikeouts in the ERA for sure. Wins, who knows? He's at 14 already, though, which is pretty good for a guy on a team that does not necessarily produce a lot of runs. National League side, I think Sale, it's going to be tough just because, like you said, Splash, Dylan Cease strikes a lot of guys out. Also, Zach Wheeler has had a great year. So Wheeler is probably going to be on his tail. Hunter Green comes back this year. I really hope he does, but Hunter Green has been fantastic lately. So I think between those three, it's going to be one of them that takes the ERA crown. I can see Sale winning 2 of these 3. I'm not going to rule out him winning all 3 because they're all relatively close races. I think wins is probably the most likely category he leads in. So I think Sale is probably the second most likely, I would say. I think I have Screwball first. With Judge, it depends on if Bobby Witt Jr. slows down ever, because he's been just a menace in the batter's box. He's hitting 350. He's 25 homers and 25 steals and 91 RBIs and an OPS over 1,000. I mean, heck, we're probably going to be having a conversation at some point about whether he can win MVP over Judge, even though I personally think Judge should win it.
Yeah.
It's hard to look past what Bobby Witt Jr. has done, but Judge, the fact, though, that this guy has 44 homers and 111 RBIs and is hitting 331, I mean, this is some, Albert Pujols, Barry Bonds level stuff we're seeing right here. I feel like it almost, to me, it kind of reminds me of Bryce Harper's 2015 season where I'm like, he's been fantastic, but I feel like the Triple Crown conversation hasn't even come up that much. And with Ozuna, I didn't realize that there are only 2 hitters in the National League with a batting average over 300, at least that are qualified. Because Ozuna is only leading at 309, and then it's Arise with a 305, and then next up is Marte at 298. Again, the talent gap for some reason between the National League and American League this year is quite apparent. So I think Ozuna's probably the least likely. Screwball, I think, is the most likely, but it would be pretty cool to see a triple crown winner this year, especially on the offensive side.
Oh yeah, I mean, if we can, this is another kind of mini question, right? But if, let's say for giggles right now, let's say that Bobby Witt Jr. does not keep up where he's at and Judge ends up taking the Triple Crown here.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, at that point, he's the MVP of the American League. At what point do we start saying that he is the best player in baseball? Because honestly, there's already a good conversation that he already is here, but
it's so tough.
The problem is right now there's still debate. What point is if he gets that Triple Crown and cements himself like that, does he just become the number one?
Because I feel like two years ago in 2022, he was the undisputed best player in baseball.
Yeah.
I
had disputes, but that was a different cause.
Well, yeah, this is the thing, though. But he was on another planet that year, and somehow this year he's doing the same thing pretty much. So if he wins the Triple Crown, Ohtani's been fantastic this year too, and is going to have a 40-40 season most likely. Yeah. So it's actually, it's not even out of the realm of possibility that he could have a 50-50 season. So, I mean, that's the thing, is Ohtani isn't pitching this year. So, oh my God, it would be.
If he was doing this while pitching, we would be
it would. Yeah.
I don't think he'd be stealing as many bases if he was pitching, though.
I agree with you.
That's the other thing.
But he would be close.
A little more cautious.
I still think he would have a decent chunk.
So I do think Judge is the best player in baseball. And you can twist yourself into as many knots as you want with this conversation. But when you ask yourself who is the best right-handed hitter since X, depending on the sample size you want to use, Aaron Judge is a valid answer to that question. If you want to say career, maybe not. This is only his 9th season. You can take Trout over him. That's 100% fine. But if you're talking about a 3-year sample or a 1-season sample, he's on the list. He's on the short list. It's the he peaked higher than Albert Pujols did. He peaked higher than Miguel Cabrera did. Now I know he didn't do it for a decade straight like they did. Miguel Cabrera, I think I mentioned this on the last podcast, led the majors in batting average, home runs, and RBI for a decade. Judge hasn't done that. Albert Pujols was 330 and 100 every year for a decade and missed it in his last year in St. Louis, his first time, by like one batting average point and one RBI. So yeah, they have longer decade stretches, but like peak Aaron Judge is the best right-handed hitter since Rogers Hornsby. That is a real statement you can say and not be laughed at. Best peak. Now, best individual season, absolutely. Best 3-year peak, 5-year peak, maybe. You can have that conversation.
Yeah.
Best career. I don't think we're having that conversation yet.
Yeah.
But he's peaking higher than just about any righty in the last 100 years.
It's actually crazy, like how good he's been. And like I've said before, like I'm from a Mets fan family. We don't love the Yankees in my household, but Aaron Judge is like the guy. I can't find a reason to root against him other than the fact that he plays for the Yankees. Like,
that's the only reason why I root against him is
watching him play is insane. I mean, because he's great in the field too.
He's also just a good dude. He's a good guy.
Yeah, no, he's a great ambassador for the sport. That's why, like, I'm really happy that he succeeds because he's the best player in baseball probably, and he's like a really good person off the field. He also when he steps into the box, like I'm terrified.
His spear.
Like he could hit the ball 500 feet. Most of his home runs, it feels like, are like 115 miles per hour. I don't know if he'll win the Triple Crown this year, but it's still insane that we have a guy who can hit, 330 with an on-base percentage over 460 and slugging over 700. And we always, because he had that great rookie year in 2017 where he hit the 52 homers and had got second in MVP voting, but then he got hurt in 2018 and 2019 and 2020. And then finally he stayed healthy. He stayed healthy in 2021 and 2022. In 2022, in his contract year, insane, 62 home runs. Then he gets hurt again. Then he's been healthy again, and he's been otherworldly again. So, as long as this guy stays healthy, I mean, he's hit 300 home runs in under 1,000 games. Heck, he's hit 300 home runs in 950 or so games. So we're looking at a guy where if he stays healthy, he'll well clear 500. He could clear 600.
Probably will clear 600.
Oh my God, yeah. But,
one thing I want to bring up, and this is just so insane to me at this point. Again, like, you talk about just how good of peak of a player he is. Like, I love the fact that we can compare him to guys, like, I'm not just gonna say like righties, like guys like Babe Ruth, like Ken Griffey Jr., Willie Mays, and at peak, we can have that conversation. Career-wise, like, I agree, can't have that yet. We gotta wait until he's a little further in. If not, until after he's retired. One thing I was gonna bring up here, this is just a little bit of a fun thing. Aaron Judge to me is very much a Road to the Show character from MLB 17.
Literally.
Because, here's the thing, like, again, because nowadays you would have it, obviously, he's going to hit and pitch, all that. No, this dude wears number 99 for the New York Yankees, is the starting, but as a starting center fielder / right fielder, wherever you want him to be, whereas number 99 is 6 foot whatever and hits nukes, throws hard. He is what Eric Sim wants to be.
Literally, it's video game numbers.
He's just a video game character, and on top
I've never
of it,
even done that in video games. That's the thing.
Exactly. It's even funnier because on top of it, bring in the good guy aspect for it. There's a lot of LB the Show games that let you do like charity stuff too, and you know what? He's doing that too just to keep building up that good charisma score.
Team chemistry. By the way, the issue I'm noticing is that we're talking about the Triple Crown, but none of these guys are horses.
Oh, that's true.
How do they win the Triple Crown?
Where's Seabiscuit? Give me Seabiscuit!
Yeah, I don't
know. My favorite horse name, Gonna Be Glue.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, no. No.
right, I gotta give credit to Ryan Stiles for that one. Whose Line Is It Anyway? Back in the early 2000s, that was brilliant.
Anyways, any other final thoughts on this before we?
I probably feel like I should apologize after that one.
That was pretty rough there.
Okay, I do better chance that it happens. Ohtani wins the Triple Crown or Ozuna wins the Triple Crown. I think it's an argument. Ohtani has a larger lead in home runs than
he does.
The batting average or the RBI. Now Ohtani is hitting like 170 this month, so his batting average is down to 290. So he's about 15 points off the pace. Now, granted, he's Shohei Ohtani, could hit 500 for the next month, and I would not be surprised. But you see what I'm saying here.
Yeah,
I could see that Ohtani holds on.
He hits leadoff every day, though. That's the tough part.
That's a good point.
Yeah,
that RBIs, he'll hit 100 for sure.
I think that Ohtani has the better shot overall. But okay, this is another way. It's just me wanting to learn. I know it's not happening because there are people like Ellie De La Cruz that exist here. But if one person got the batting average, home runs, RBIs, and stolen bases, would that be the quadruple crown?
According to MLB Power Pros, yes.
Okay, I guess so. Yeah.
All right. No, legitimately, just like I think about that way too much about like who would be a quadruple crown winner.
I aspire to accomplish that in anything.
That was like you look at what Ronald did last year, and he hit 337 and hit 41 home runs.
He won the batting
over
title,
100
right?
runs and stole 73 bags. So, that's a
he's the closest. Yeah.
Yeah. So he only led the league in one of those because Arias hit 350, Olsen hit 54 home runs and drove in 130. But if you move Acuna down in the order a little bit, and you trade like 20 steals, which would not have led the majors because Esteury Ruiz had 67, but would have led the National League. So, like Ohtani could lead. He's not going to lead in steals this year unless Ellie falls off a cliff. But
he's already at 59.
Also, shout out to Xavier Edwards. He has 18 steals since the All-Star break. Hit with a 440 on base percentage.
That's incredible.
I watched him play this weekend. He's nasty.
He is electricity.
He's actually really good, and I'm really happy he's getting everyday playing time.
Another guy though, we brought him up just a minute ago, but Ellie De La Cruz is like a perfect quadruple crown candidate. I feel like
he has enough power. I think
he's got the power. He's got the RBI. He's got the speed. Honestly, it's just batting average.
Yeah, I think he strikes out too much
a lot.
To be considered.
He leads the majors in strikeouts. Yeah.
Just look for bunts every time you go to bed or hit a homer. It's that easy, guys. It's that easy, fellas.
Yeah, you could be like Ichiro in Backyard Baseball. Where you 1,000 because you'd bunt every single time.
Or be Luke Raley in real life because you hit a bunt and while they're so far back and you get to second base.
Or you can be Jared Kelenic and miss suicide squeezes.
Yeah, or you could be like Jeff McNeil yesterday. God. In case you don't know, I'm not a huge fan of bunting, even though it was the only thing I was good at in baseball. Bunting, there's a time and a place. But anyways,
I think it's okay in the it's okay in extra innings.
Yeah, sure, 100%.
And I like what Trevor Plouffe said, that bunting is sometimes okay. I don't like sacrifice bunting, but bunting for a hit. If you're
100%.
Michael Harris bunted for a hit last year. It's that's fine. He's struggling. It's against a lefty. He's in 170s last month. Yeah, just lay down a bunt and get to first base. That's fine.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But
Victor Robles and
bunting and you're not a pitcher, I have my concerns.
Victor Robles and Luke Raley have been making art forms of it on the Mariners.
Yeah, one of my favorite moments from my childhood was when Endy Chavez did a drag bunt to win a game with 2 outs in the extra innings. Just runner on third, drag bunt, perfect, nobody covered. Yeah, so there are ways to bunt, by the way. But I'd probably have to make an entire podcast episode about bunting. So let's go ahead and move on to everyone's favorite segment every week, which is trivia. This week, Splash has that, so take it away.
Hello, friends. Jim Nance, Phil Sims. You know the drill. Today, we are going to talk about complete games in the year of our Lord 2024. 22 pitchers have combined for 25 complete games this season. Both of you will have 10 player guesses. You get a point for each complete game they have. So hypothetically, if they have 2, you get 2 points. If they have 1, you get a point. If they have 0, well, you get 0 points. So Alex,
I forfeit my win to Splat to Mac and not kidding.
Okay. Alex, please choose a number between 1 and 30.
16.
Mac,
19.
it is 24.
Let's go.
Oh, come on!
Oh, I didn't realize that, but it is 5:24 as we record now. So Mac, you may go first. You have 10
All right.
guesses. Please take your first guess.
I honestly
right.
thought I should have just guessed 24 just for the bit.
I'm going to go with Christopher Sanchez.
Christopher Sanchez has 2 of them.
Exactly.
Alex.
I'm gonna be real with you. I don't know a single one who's on a complete game this year.
Oh, brother.
I think. Actually, oh no, I know one for sure. Blake Snell.
Blake Snell has 1.
Yes,
Mac.
first time he's ever pitched
Threw a
in the
no-hitter.
9th inning.
Yes.
Yeah. I'll go with another no-hitter guy. I'll go with Dylan Cease.
Dylan Cease is correct.
Okay.
Alex.
I'll go with another no-hitter guy that also and Ronald Blanco.
Ronald Blanco is correct. Mac.
I'll go with Max Fried.
Max Fried has 2 of them.
Let's go. I knew that.
Alex.
Okay, now we're getting to where I don't know.
Oh boy.
Fully. I'm gonna say I think Logan Gilbert has gone up the distance once this year.
Logan Gilbert does not have a complete game.
I'll
I
go
know
with
there's been one mayor that has. I just don't remember who it was.
Mac.
I'll go with the one I just saw over the weekend. I'll go with Luis Severino.
Luis Severino is correct. Alex.
Oh man. You know, if I'm gonna go on Maris, might as well go on Maris. Let's go Kirby.
No. Mac.
Yeah, I was gonna say. I'm going with Aaron Nola. I know he threw one against the Mets. So
Aaron Nola has 1. Matt or Alex.
Zach Wheeler.
Zach Wheeler is not correct.
Dang it!
He doesn't?
No,
Okay, that was
he
gonna be
does
like
not.
my next guess. So good thing I didn't guess it.
Dang it!
Okay. I got.
This is your 6th guess.
My 6th guess. All right.
Yes.
Who throws complete games these days? Kevin Gossman, I think.
Kevin Gossman is the 3rd player with 2.
Let's
Alex.
go.
Luis Castillo.
No. Mac.
Okay. I gotta do some thinking again. It's the thing is that nowadays complete games just aren't as common.
Every ounce of my being is trying not to say Sandy Alcantara.
Yeah, same actually. Unfortunately, does not have one.
Cy Young.
Walter Johnson.
Old Hoss Redborn.
Yeah. Who the heck throws
Christy
complete
Mackey.
games anymore? I'll go with Marcus Stroman. I don't think so.
That is not correct. Alex.
Yeah,
Okay. I'm not gonna go any Mariners at this point. I don't think there is one on the list.
I don't think so either.
Okay. I'm trying to think like players in divisions. Don't know what they're gonna call. Let's. No. Like I'm like all these names are like going through my head. I'm trying to think, did they do it this year? And I'm like throwing out ones at this point here. Let's go with oh no, you already said Dylan Cease. Crap. I was about to say Cease. Spencer Strider.
No. Mac, your 8th pick.
My 8th pick. I don't know if he's thrown one this year. Ranger Suarez?
Ranger Suarez is correct.
Let's go.
Oh, wow.
Alex.
Nate Eovaldi.
That is not correct. Mac.
Seth Lugo. I just
Seth
remembered
Lugo
that.
is correct. Alex.
Bryce Miller.
That is not
Oh
correct.
my God.
Mac.
I don't know.
This is my last guess, right?
Yes.
Tanner Houck.
Tanner
I
Houck
haven't been
is
fantasy,
correct.
so-
And
I can see the screen on your
Alex.
glasses there, Mac. So
What?
cool. Thanks for cheating. Appreciate it. No,
Nah,
just kidding.
Alex. Last
you ain't
pick.
cheating. You ain't trying.
Last pick. Andres Munoz. Let's go.
That is not correct. Okay, Mac, you with a pretty dominant score here, win 12-0 or 12-2. My bad.
12-2. Let's go.
The remaining players: Justin Steele, Framber Valdez, Cole Reagans, Gavin Stone, Braxton Garrett, Bailey Ober, Joey Estes, Tyler Phillips, Mitch Keller, Logan Webb, and Jose Barrios.
I
Fair enough. Yep.
forgot. Most of those guys make sense.
Yeah.
I completely forgot about Joey Estes.
I forgot that half those players exist.
Logan Webb did it recently against the A's.
I know
Remember?
Logan.
If memory
They
serves,
faced
it
the
was,
A's like yesterday. What?
yeah, it was they played the other in San Francisco.
Oh right.
It
Right.
was a 1-0 game. It was either against
Oh
Oakland
yeah,
or
he
Colorado.
did throw in. Yeah.
Then
Uh,
Tyler
yeah.
Phillips did it in like his second career start or something.
Oh, for the Phillies. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's right.
And then Garrett did it. His was a Maddox, if I remember correctly.
I think so. I didn't
All
realize
right.
Reagans had one this year.
And Gavin Stone did it against the White Sox, if memory serves.
Oh, so he did it against the Charlotte Knights, basically, is what you're
Yes.
saying.
Yes. We were not going to talk about how a certain Barbs played against the White Sox this season. So let's continue on swiftly.
Yeah. Thank you for that splash, though.
Yes,
like I
of course.
said, I wish complete games were a little more common, just because, like you were saying, only 25 of them this year. I remember when James Shields threw 11 in a season. He's the last guy to throw double-digit complete games in a year. Complete game James was
Big
very
games,
good,
James. Yep.
He
Yeah,
was famously not good in big games.
Yep. That was the.
Yeah, that's the funny part is they kept calling him Big Game James, and then every time he took them out in the playoffs, he gave up like 5 runs. It's like, big game.
He also
what?
gave up a home run to one Bartolo Colon.
Yes, he did.
Yeah, and got traded for Fernando Tatis Jr. a couple weeks later.
I feel like at this
great
point now
deal.
he should just
Great
be
deal.
Big Name James at this point because he's done
Yeah,
a lot
I
with
think-
that name.
I'm
That's
pretty
a
sure
good
he
nickname.
appeared on the Hall of Fame ballot this year. Was it this year? Or,
I think
yeah,
so.
I think.
I think it was this year. Yeah.
Yeah, because I remember seeing him, seeing his name tossed around on the ballot. Obviously, I don't think anyone voted for him. Maybe he got like 1 vote, but yeah.
One vote.
I'm not a fan of the innings requirement, but I do enjoy complete games. So, anyways, we're gonna end our show the way we end every show, which is with the moment to ourselves, 60 seconds or so to talk about whatever the heck is on your mind. It does not have to be baseball or sports related, but it certainly can be. So, gentlemen, who here wants to go first? Splash. I
Yes.
saw your hand go up first, so let me get the timer started in 3, 2, 1, go.
Believe it or not, I'm going to talk about the New York Metropolitans. So Thursday, a certain Haley Welsh threw out was part of their first pitch ceremony, and she is the Hawk-Tua girl for the uninitiated. And baseball Twitter was in an outrage. How dare you have a non-celebrity throw out a first pitch? How dare you? And how would you answer the question if a 9-year-old asked you what she's famous for? Let me ask you this. Do you let your children watch Disney movies? Do you let your children watch Nickelodeon movies, DreamWorks movies? Because they have adult jokes in there, and your kids don't ask you to explain them, right? And if you do, it's a joke for the adults. So please miss me with that. And Haley has some wonderful causes she was promoting at the ballpark, and it's a much more valiant's not the right word for it, a much more respectable cause than some celebrities that actually throw out for the first pitches of these games. And not to disrespect Grimace, but Grimace threw out the first pitch of a Mets game this season. Can you name any other person that's thrown out any first pitch this season besides Grimace and the Hawk-Tua girl? Genuine question. Probably not.
I know MGK. I know
that's right.
MGK
That's
did
right.
recently.
That's right.
I will
Honestly,
I will
no,
say,
I respect your angle on that.
yeah, same.
I'm not going to go into detail, but I 100% agree with you, especially with the adult jokes in these shows.
And the cause was like veterans
for
and
dogs.
Yeah, it was for dogs.
Which
come on, like I'm not particularly a dog person, but I can acknowledge that is something reasonable. A person can like have a charity adjacent thing for.
And
exactly.
Steve and Alex Cohen are huge supporters of that too. So
exactly.
if this were the previous ownership, they probably would have done this to whatever. But no, this was for a good cause. I was in the part of the group that didn't really care. And then when I saw that it was for a good cause, I was happy about it. So,
and on top of it, right? Like if you have your 15 minutes of fame, I don't know, why not at least use that soapbox that you do have for a few minutes to promote something nice, promote something good. Like you were lucky enough to go viral on all this. Might as well do something good with it.
Exactly.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm done.
Anyways, Alex, do you want to go next?
Sure. Let's go next.
All right. Your time starts in 3, 2, 1, go.
So this entire year, I have been struggling to be a Mariner fan. I know, shocking because Mariner. But at the same time, like there is something that's so interesting that's going on right now, and that is that Seattle plays well against good teams, but horrible against bad teams. For example, let's take the last 3 series for Seattle. Small sample size, I know, but it perfectly illustrates what I'm trying to talk about here. Over the last 3 series, Seattle has won 5 games and lost 5 games. It has been, has lost 4 games, excuse me. And over that time period, they swept the Mets here, which, again, are still competing for a playoff spot, mind you. Against the Tigers and the Pirates. Oh, sorry, no, you actually had worse because I'm going to go back 4 series. You lost the series to the Tigers, you got swept by the Tigers, and you lost the series to the Pirates. Yet you swept the Metropolitans a score of 22-1 over the course of the series. What is this team? Seriously, what is going on by the fact that against good competition, you are playing great. Against bad competition, you are doing nothing. You play up and you play down, and it's so aggravating because at that point, like there's not really an answer for how you fix the problem at this. It is purely again when the odds are stacked against you, you do better, but when the odds are in your favor, you just let off the gas. It's annoying. I love this team, and I want to see this team make the playoffs. Man, it gets hard to watch at times.
Honestly, it sounds like the Mets.
Sounds a lot like the Braves too, losing 2 out of 3 in Colorado. Losing 2 out of 3 to the Chicago White Sox.
Was it right before the trade deadline? The Mets went 6-3 in a 9-game stretch against the Yankees, Braves, and Twins, and then they proceeded to lose a series to the Angels and then lose a series to the A's. So yeah.
Hey, the Braves have a winning record against the Phillies. Are 2-6 against Washington.
I mean, what's it called? I saw the Padres were like unstoppable for a while. It turns out they're like 5-8 against the Rockies this year.
Yep.
And it's like, well, if you miss the playoffs, there you go. You lost games to the Rockies. With all due respect to the Colorado Rockies.
Yeah. I mean, Dave Stevens was saying the exact same thing about Seattle when they lost their series to Detroit. Was if you miss the playoffs by 1 game, this is going to be one of the series you look at.
Yeah, that's how I felt about the Oakland series. I mean, it was frustrating on a number of accounts, not just because I was jet lagged, but anyways, I'll get my time started. Can someone count me down?
Yeah, I got it. Here we go. Starting in 3, 2, 1, begin.
Yeah, so first of all, I just want to say Brandon Nimmo is a super nice guy, and he was like the last player to leave the other day, and he still stayed and signed for fans. So shout out to Brandon Nimmo. But the other thing I wanted to touch on, as my display name indicates, there is a chance that backyard baseball is coming back. And I have a hard time putting into words how much or how awesome that is, because backyard baseball was like my childhood. It's like the first game I remember playing. It's part of the reason why I became a baseball fan. So I really hope this isn't a tease, because I want I have two young nephews. I want them to know the greatness of backyard baseball. And plus, it would just be a great trip down memory lane for me. Maybe we do it with modern characters. Maybe we have, all 30 teams have a rep from today's game. Maybe you throw in some legends. Maybe you introduce some new kids. As long as I get to play with Pablo Sanchez and Pete Wheeler again, I'd be happy. And Keisha Phillips, by the way. So, yeah, please tell me this is real. I need backyard baseball back more than I need air.
Yeah, no, I'm a 100% with you. Although I will say this. It needs to be closer to like the 2001, 97 versions.
100%.
Not like the ones we got in the late 2000s, early 2010s. Those games, sorry, they were bad. I'm not going to apologize for that one.
I played, I think the last one I played was 2010 or something. I got it for the DS. It was fine, it was kind of fun, but it's not what it was.
It's not backyard
the early
sports.
2000s. Oh my God. Also, shout out to Secret Base. That video about Pablo Sanchez was amazing.
I was about to say, I learned about backyard skateboarding because of that.
Yeah, I didn't know that existed.
I had no idea.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
Oh my God. I miss backyard baseball. Please bring it back.
Please. 100%.
But anyways, that will do it for our show today. My first show back after my trip from overseas, but trust me, I'm not going anywhere. So you guys are stuck with me.
I'm going places. I will be recording the next episode from Maine.
Oh, you'll be up in the Northeast, just like me.
Yeah.
Anyways,
cool, you guys will be even farther away from me. How dare?
I will be close to Portland, though, so our proximities to Portland will be closer in the next few days.
Exactly, yeah.
I'm also going to a minor league baseball game. It'll be the Rome Emperors and the Greenville Drive, Boston's single A affiliate.
Oh, okay.
High A affiliate.
Yeah, I was going to say, if you're in Portland, the Sea Dogs are right there.
That's a family trip, but the excursion to South Carolina is to see some baseball.
Oh, that's pretty awesome, though.
I'm excited.
I love minor league baseball, by the way. Maybe I'll go to a Cyclones game. But anyways, thank you all for listening. Make sure to follow us on Twitter. You can follow myself at Mathias_A_K. Follow Splash at Mr. Splashman19, and of course Alex at the Sports Guy 242. And make sure to follow our account at LAR_baseball. That's both on Twitter and Instagram, although we don't Instagram that much. But also make sure to subscribe to us on YouTube. Hit that like button. Make sure to subscribe and leave us a 5-star review on Spotify and Apple Podcasts or wherever you listen to us. So anyways, thank you all for listening. Stay safe, and I hope to see you all real soon.